You know, some stories are just so epic, they feel like they have to be myths. Today, we're diving into ancient India for a tale about strategy, power, and what might just be the most calculated, most complete revenge in all of human history.
And here's the thing, this incredible story isn't just some random tale, it's the traditional legend that's wrapped around one of the most important books on government and strategy ever written, Kautilya's Arthashastra. In this story, the man, the legend, and his philosophy, they're all completely tangled together. And look, that's what's so wild about this. This isn't about a simple duel or winning one battle. We are talking about a plan that took decades to unfold. A plan designed to systematically tear down an entire ruling family, root and branch. So that's the big question, right? It's a puzzle that seems totally impossible. How does one person, with nothing but their own mind, decide to declare war on the most powerful man in the kingdom and actually win? Okay, so every great conflict has to start somewhere. And this one begins with two men who could not be more different. A powerful, arrogant king and a brilliant but totally disrespected scholar. And when you look at these two guys, the power imbalance is just staggering. On one side, you've got King Dhanananda. He was supposedly base-born, and his people couldn't stand him because he was so greedy. On the other side, Kautilya, an incredibly poor but brilliant Brahmin, a master of strategy, who is also apparently known for his physical ugliness. It is the ultimate underdog setup. So here's what happens. This is the moment everything changes. The story goes that Kautilya was at a feast in the royal palace. The king, Dhanananda, takes one look at him, insults him in front of everyone, and has him physically thrown out, after he'd already started eating. It was a massive public humiliation. But that single moment, that public humiliation, it did more than just make him angry. It forged an ironclad purpose that would literally change the course of Indian history. This is where the real story begins. Furious, Kautilya reportedly unties his Shikha, that's the traditional top knot of a Brahmin priest, and he makes this unbelievably powerful vow. This wasn't just a threat, it was a secret oath. He was symbolically cutting himself off from his normal life until his mission was complete. And what a mission it was.
Think about it. Kautilya had nothing, no army, no money, no royal connections. So his path to revenge wasn't going to be fought with swords. It was going to be fought with pure, cold, calculated strategy. He was about to play a game of 4D chess that would last for decades.
Now, it's really important to say the sources are clear. This is a traditional legend, not a word-for-word historical account. But that doesn't mean it's not valuable. The story itself is the perfect example of the kind of practical, cunning, long-term thinking that Kautilya is famous for.
And his plan was just methodical. He never rushed. First, find the right person. Second, make him a king in his mind and skills long before he ever sits on a real throne. And step 3, this is the real genius. Don't attack your enemy's strongest point head on. No, weaken them from the edges, the frontiers. Then, and only then, once they're surrounded and weak, do you go for the heart.
So, everything, and I mean everything, hinged on that very first step. Kautilya, the kingmaker, had to find his king. But where in the world do you find a future emperor?
So Kautilya starts wandering, right? Disguised, just searching. The story goes that he stumbles on a group of kids playing a game. And one of them, a young boy named Chandragupta, was playing the part of the king, and he was seriously judging his friends' disputes. Kautilya saw it right away, that natural spark of leadership. And get this, he was so blown away that the legend says he bought the boy right there on the spot for 1,000 panas. Just think about that for a second. That might be the single greatest investment in human history, a handful of coins, for the man who would become the first emperor of the massive Mauryan Empire.
From that moment on, Kautilya became his mentor. He took Chandragupta to Taxila, which was this famous center of learning, and he personally oversaw the boy's education. He taught him everything: military strategy, economics, law, espionage. He wasn't just finding a king, he was building one from scratch.
All right, so after years and years of patient work, the training is done. The candidate is ready. The Grand Master's game is finally moving into its last decisive phase. It was time for checkmate.
And this timeline just lays it all out, the whole grand strategy, playing out over years.
It all starts with that personal vow of revenge. That fire fuels the search for a champion, which leads to finding Chandragupta. Then comes the long, slow process of education. And then the masterstroke. Instead of some foolish frontal assault, they start their conquest from the frontiers, picking the empire apart piece by piece. Only then do they close in for the final siege, driving out the king they both hated.
And just like that, it was over. The vow was kept. The man who started with nothing, no money, no status, no army, just a brilliant mind and an unbreakable will, had single-handedly engineered the fall of one empire and the rise of another.
But you have to wonder, was this really all just for personal revenge? This quote from Kautilya's own book, the Arthashastra, suggests there was something much deeper going on. His goal wasn't just to tear down a bad king. It was to build up a good one, a ruler who understood that their own well-being is tied directly to the well-being of their people.
So think about that. A personal vendetta, a quest for revenge, actually created an emperor and forged a new dynasty.
But that leaves us with the biggest question of all. What kind of empire gets built on the principles of a mind like Kautilya's? Well, the answer to that is what fills the pages of the Arthashastra.